Hey everybody, James from the Football Manager Whizzkids here, and I'm back with my final YouTube save of Football Manager 2016 as I take over my club, Newcastle United, in the Championship, and hopefully we can win the league and do something special with this team in the long run. Of course, on an updated database, looking forward to it, excited to see what I can do with some of the new players that have signed on the dotted line with Newcastle in the recent future under Rafa Benitez and the Rafalution. Now, as you can see, Newcastle United have appointed the rookie James Beattie, that is me, myself and I, the replacement for outgoing manager Rafa Benitez, a high calibre manager to replace for sure. Can the rookie Scotsman do what we fully expect of Rafa Benitez to do in the coming season with the Magpies? Now, of course, if you know me, I've been on the Football Manager scene for a long time, and in particular with the Whizzkids being created 5 years ago nearly. You will know that I'm a Newcastle United fan, and I always keep the Newcastle United save till around about the end of the year, just so there's a fully updated team, and really just so I don't get bored, and I look forward to it at the end of the year playing with the team. Of course, I did not see us playing in the Sky Bet Championship for the season coming, but so be it. We've signed a few players, we've sold a few players. Of course, we're playing on an updated database, so no Gini Wijnaldum. Currently, we do still have Musa Sissoko on today's date that I'm starting recording this, the 23rd of July 2016. So I'm looking forward to getting into this. We're going to call this series the Tyneside Troubles, because Newcastle United in the Sky Championship, that really is a big club in trouble. Now, the objective of this series is ultimately to win the Premier League and probably the Champions League. And when I win both of those, it can be in separate seasons, then I will cut the save there and then, and we will move on. Now, I'm starting with no badges of coaching or anything like that, and we're starting with a Sunday League experience. As you can see, I'm 26 years old, born on the 1st of May 1989. This is the first year I've been able to put my real date of birth into Football Manager, half a star reputation, £50,000 per week and on a 1-year contract, and all my attributes in coaching and mental are 2, 1 and 3s. My first job, knowledge of course Scotland, that is where I'm from. I have a good knowledge of England. All my family hail from Newcastle. That's the reason why I've supported the club my entire life. And it says here, my preferred formation is a 4-2-3-1, which I entered before starting the save, which I would say is about right. Now, today's episode is really going to be on talking about the team and having a look at the staff. Rafa Benitez's staff, of course, being implemented into the club as I edit them in there. And if you didn't know, we do create our own database, which gets around 6,000 downloads per week. And we're also going to look mainly at the squad, see who we'll look to keep, who we'll look to rely on, have a look at the new signings and see which players we do hope to sell. Now, 3.5-star reputation in the Sky Bet Championship, massive club, founded in 1892 and rich financial status. Of course, we will check the budget in a moment. The kits, these are currently last year's kits, as this new season upcoming kits have not yet been created. I might look to create them myself and implement them into the game. St James's Park is where we play our football, 52,404 capacity. Over 33,000 season tickets have currently been sold in real life going into the Championship season, which is more than some major Premier League clubs, including the likes of Tottenham and Chelsea, I believe. I am the manager under the key employees. No captain as yet. Fabrizio Colaccini recently left to go to San Lorenzo. Vice captain is Cech Tayoti, and key player is the new signing Jesus Gamez. I will look to appoint a new captain. Currently in pre-season against Bohemians and against Lokeren, Jamal Lascelles has taken over the captain's armband, and he has been made the main man of the players committee, taken over from Fabrizio Colaccini, as he does have a voice in among the camp. So briefly, we'll move on to the staff, and some of these, of course, who Rafa Benitez brought in. Some were previously there through Steve McLaren. A few decent names in there, a few that you may recognise. So we do have the manager of the under-18s, Dave Watson, the former Everton defender, manager of the under-21s, former Liverpool and Newcastle player, Pierre Beardsley, a bit of an icon at the club, Ian Cathro, the young Scotsman, the assistant manager, Joe Joyce, Simon Smith, a well-reputed goalkeeping coach. Moving on to some of Rafa Benitez's staff, Paco De Miguel, Antonio Gomez, Mikel Antia. We'll have a look at them in more depth and we will see who will move on and look to bring in maybe some of my own. I can assure you that Watson, Beardsley, Cathro, Smith, Bramley, Richardson, Derek Wright, Graham Carr will all be staying on with me. We will of course look to bring in more, but in general when I'm talking about coaches I like to bring in English, Scottish or UK based coaches. So here we have the season's fixtures upcoming, and of course we have some friendlies already arranged as we take over. Cambridge away, Bristol Rovers away, Bury away, Stadheim at home. We take a trip to America to play DC United. I may look to cancel that so we don't have to go so far to play a game, and maybe possibly rearrange another one. And of course play our feeder club Gateshead at the Gateshead International Stadium. That is a seasonally thing before we kick off the opener away in the Sky Bet Championship against Derby, who are sure to be up there come the end of the season on the 8th of August 2015 on a Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff, traditional style in England. Before we get into Rotherham at home for the first home game of the season, Bristol City away, Blackburn at home, and then we get into Capital One Cup duties. I will bring you another video updating you on signings and sales that we have made, and then we will discuss the friendlies that we have played. We might arrange another one or two, and of course we do a live com every single episode apart from this introductory episode. So Derby away will be the first one of the season that we will bring you in episode 2. So let's get into the squad, guys. Let's see who we will keep on, who we will sell, and I'm looking forward to using some new players that I've never used on Football Manager before. Okay guys, so first up we will look at the under 18 squad, which really is pretty poor compared to most sides, especially in the Premier League and above. Not really any players I could shout out about. Paul Woolston is pretty decent in real life. Gideon Adu-Pepra is seen as the best player in the under 18 squad. He is coming from Manchester City recently. Newbury, he done okay for me in my Blythe Spartan save. Stefan Broccoli is okay. He coming from Arsenal. I'm talking basically in real life, guys. On Football Manager they're not very good. Probably the best bunch in here, I'd go for Mackenzie Heaney, who does follow the Whizzkids on Twitter at the FM Whizzkids if you want to do it also. But the standout one is probably Sean Longstaff. He's not very good on the game either. He's 17 years old, got decent first touch, decent decision making, and a couple of decent physicals. But really, guys, he's not very good, and that really sums up the under 18 squad that really, hopefully, with seasons to come and regen intakes, we will get a couple of good ones through per season. Again, briefly into the under-21s before we go into a little bit more depth with the first team. Jamie Sterry, a player that Rafa Benitez has used in all his friendlies so far this season. He actually looks decent in real life, but Football Manager does not reflect that. He has been put on the transfer list along with Macaulay Gillespie and Curtis Good. Curtis Good come to Newcastle about 3-4 years ago, and he was touted as a good player but has had too many long-term injuries and really not made any great impact on the club. He's also been put on the transfer list, as is Gilby Girimana. He's 21 years old. He's not really going to affect anything in the first team, so we'll look to hopefully cash in on him. He'll £12,000 per week also. That's pretty high for someone who's not going to get a look in on the first team. Also on the transfer list, Liam Smith, who's currently on loan at Crewe until January. That was a pre-loan already made before I took over. And Tom Herdman also on the transfer list. Players not on the transfer list who may go out on loan. Lubo Satka is a real decent player, one that I could potentially use in the future. He's a decent enough player. Heading is good, marking is good, tackling is good. Physically he's really good for age 19, considering he's got not much experience at all. He was on loan at York last season and he's got some decent mentals also. Kyle Cameron, also like Satka, was on loan at York last season. Stuart Finlay just coming from Celtic, the young Scotsman. Callum Roberts, a decent player at this level, always seems to stand out when we read the reports for the under-21s. Daniel Barlaser, Turkish-born English representative, I believe, and he has been given the captain's armband in pre-season for the under-21s. Alex Gilliard, he was on loan at Carlisle last season, seems to be pretty decent. And Ivan Toney, who was recently on loan at Barnsley, looks pretty decent. Again, one I'm not sure with the quality that we have can make it to the high end of the Newcastle United team and really be a mainstay in the club. One we may look to put out on loan, if not cash in on him when we can possible. Okay guys, so we're going to go on to each player individually and we're going to have a look at who we may look to keep and sell and see if we can really squeeze some money out and make a huge chunk of cash. Now, Tim Krul, we recently signed a Belgian goalkeeper who we'll get to shortly. I really love Tim Krul, but seeing as we've signed that goalkeeper, I think we may look to cash in on him because the new goalkeeper is younger. He looks pretty solid, and if I'm ever going to get a decent amount of money out of Tim Krul, it's probably going to be over the next season or two. Or we may let the pair of them battle it out in the hope that we get to the Premier League. And then, I guess if we're going to the Premier League and we get there, Tim Krul would be the number one. But in the Championship, I don't see any reason why we could move him on and bring in another backup goalkeeper, or use Rob Elliott or Carl Darlow as backup and have the new goalkeeper as the number one. Jamal Lascelles, the number 15 on Newcastle United, a giant of a man, came in at the end when Rafa Benitez took over for the last 7 or 8 games, and really, he was quality. I remember going to the Crystal Palace game where we won 1-0, Andros Townsend scored that goal, of course now moved on to Crystal Palace. He was absolute rock in that game. I think he could be massive for Newcastle United in the real world. Hopefully he can be just as good on the game for me, definitely staying around the club. Mixed feelings on Kevin Mbabu. Yes, I think he's a talented player, and on his debut against Chelsea he was excellent. He has just signed a new 2-year contract with the club, but he's always injured. Kind of like Sam De Jong, he's never far away from an injury. So hopefully Kevin Mbabu can stay injury free and he can be a decent player for us. He can be used in a rotation system. They do have him as a centre back on the game, but for me he's definitely more of a full back. 1 season in for Chancellor Mbemba, and definitely a fan's favourite. Gives his all for the club. He's got real talent and ability, pure athleticism. He's going to be quality for us should he stay in the Championship. I think he will. He seems to be playing with a smile on his face, unlike Gini Wijnaldum, who was a little miserable at the club knowing that he was going to be leaving or wanted to leave the club. But I think Mbemba will stay in real life, and he's a quality player, good on the ball, very comfortable on the ball. And I know we got relegated, but those last 10 games where Rafa was in charge, 7 or 8 of them we were pretty solid and we went on a decent run. Mbemba and Lascelles at the back was really good for us. My man, the beast, Alexander Mitrovic. This guy seriously plays with a smile on his face, aggression, passion. He's going to be a real class act in the Championship. I know he was brought in at a very young age, age 24, big money, and expected to produce in the Premier League when he only got a few goals. But this will really bed him and give him experience in England in the Championship. Now remember, the Championship is not like the Premier League. The Premier League, you play nice football, you play fancy football. Championship really is a pure battle, and you need a lot of physical strength to deal with it, and I think he's going to relish that, and I think he will be excellent in the Championship. He is up there, probably my joint first or second favourite player, up there with Ayoze Perez. Really disappointing to see Andros Townsend, but within hours Matt Ritchie was wrapped up and signed on the dotted line. And as a Scotsman born into a Geordie family, I'm delighted to see a Scotsman join the club. Absolute quality. Now of course he could have joined pretty much a lot of Premier League clubs, but you realise how good and how big Newcastle were, and really he's going to learn a lot under Rafa Benitez. A real talent, and I'm looking forward to using him because I never have done on Football Manager. And of course, arguably the Scottish national team's best player. The less we say about Emmanuel Riviere, the better. I don't think anybody will take him on a permanent transfer, but for me, I see him going on loan to a French club very shortly. Only got a couple of goals in his time at Newcastle. I believe they were in a Capital One Cup game. I'm going to hazard a guess and say I think it was against Fulham, but he's not really made any sort of impact. If we can get 2-3 million for him and £35,000 a week off the wage bill, we will definitely snap that up. It's a shame because he does do a lot of movement, but he just doesn't really have the natural ability to be a quality striker. Henri Civette, now a Football Manager legend if you like. Everybody knows who he is. Now it's difficult this one because you don't want to say he struggled at Newcastle, he's not settled in. I think it was just a case of when he was signed there were other players in front of him and he never really got a chance, and now even under Rafa he never really got a start. But it's a brand new season, it's a brand new league, and he could be part of something in the Championship. I don't see it personally. I see Callback, Anita, Shelby, Hayden probably playing in the centre midfield, and I don't know, it's a difficult one. I'll try him in the Championship. I reckon it's not going to work out, not because he's not good enough to play in the league, just because I'll play other players ahead of him. So if I could get some sort of money for him, around 4 or 5 million, I would definitely take it. But again, he is a reasonable player. You can't really say he's done bad at the club, he's just not been given a fair crack at the whip. So here he is, the new Belgian goalkeeper signing. Mats Sells comes in for, I think it was £4.2 million. Now he looks real good. Looks like he could easily compete with Tim Krul. But as I say, guys, he's younger than Tim Krul by 4 years. He could easily be our number one in the Championship, and we could cash in on Tim Krul. I kind of want to use him. I've not used him before. I've used Tim Krul for multiple seasons on Football Manager over the years. So it would be nice to use him and sort of mould him in the Championship and then really have him quality for the Premier League. I think I'm going to make him number one, cash in on Tim Krul, but we'll see how that develops. Definitely a contender for the captaincy at the club. Going to be a key player in my team. His long shooting is excellent on this game, and we'll try to exploit that. And then number 12, England cap Jonjo Shelvey, come in for big money. To be honest, he was pretty disappointing in his 10-11 games or so at the end of last season from when he signed. On his debut, he was just flowing with confidence and had an absolute blinder of a game against West Ham, I'm sure it was, where we won 2-1. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I do think it was West Ham, but he assisted both goals, or certainly played a part in both. But I did notice he got handed the captain's armband. That probably put pressure on him, and I actually went to the Sunderland derby and he was almost playing kind of like a regista, where he was playing as a third central defender instead of drifting forward and looking to get long shots away and trying to get in the opposition box, which I didn't like. So we're definitely going to look for him to sit in the middle, but more so get forward if and when possible. Quality player for this level, should do really well. Next up, Musa Sissoko. Now, whilst quality in terms of Football Manager, this guy will be moving on for any sort of money. Genuinely, guys, he's probably the only player I actually dislike at Newcastle United at the minute. Now, you guys who don't watch Newcastle United, who are not diehards, who don't see every single game like myself, you'll be thinking he had a great Euros, he was excellent, he's worth so much money. Now, the club have said they want 35 million for him. Yes, guys, listen, they want. That's basically saying we're wanting a huge offer, otherwise we don't have to budge, because Rafa Benitez has said many times he does not have to sell his big players. We did not have to sell Gini Wijnaldum. We wanted ballpark 27 million, we got 25 and he left the club. If we get offered around 30, we will take it. If we get offered 25, we'll probably take it. For me, this guy's a con artist. He scored on the final day of the season, of not the season past, the season before, and it took a calendar year for him to score again. Now, what kind of midfielder who doesn't do much of defending but does a lot of attacking does that? He doesn't influence games. Yes, he shows up 5 games a year and he has a few great games, but most of the time he's very inconsistent, and he played a big part in the downfall of this club, and he doesn't deserve to grace the black and white stripes. He doesn't deserve to be part of this club. John Alder and Liam Sweeney, they died in the airplane crash. Now, that is a big thing for Newcastle United. We applaud the players on the applaud on the 17th minute of every single game in memory of those two. Now, it was recently the anniversary, and every single player in the club posted rest in peace to those two lads, the Newcastle United fans. But this guy, on the same day, had no brain cells and was posting on Twitter about going on holiday. Yes, he's entitled to that, but show a little respect. He must have seen his fellow players doing that sort of thing. Show a little respect. This guy's got no class about him. I'm sure he'll get a lot of French people coming back to me saying he's this, he's that, but trust me, as a passionate Newcastle United fan who's given my life to supporting this club, he is not good enough. Yes, will he be better playing with bigger and better players? Yes, but this is Mr. Musa Sissoko, Mr. Champions League. When he has one good game every 10, then he talks about playing for a bigger club in the Champions League. Not good enough for this club. He's an absolute con, and I will be glad to see him leave the club in real life. Okay guys, I got a little bit riled up there. I feel Moussa Sissoko has never really played for the club and always played for himself, and players like that get to me. I want to see players with passion and heart. So moving on, Florian Thauvin. Now he did go on loan to Marseille, struggled in the Premier League, only had a good game against Northampton in the Cup where he got 2 goals and an assist. He did go back to France, but currently in pre-season he's actually playing with a smile on his face. He's played in all the pre-season games under Rafa, and he actually looks like he's enjoying his football. Now, I can see Marseille coming in for him again, or another French club. If they don't, I reckon Thauvin could be pretty good in the Championship. You know, he does have to be a bit more physical. It will be physical for him, and he's a bit of a pretty boy, kind of like Cabela, who really couldn't cut the physicality of England. Now, hopefully, if he does leave the club, we will get a return on the money that we bought him for. If he doesn't, I'm pretty glad to see him stay. He's going to stay with me in the Championship, and we will hope to use him because he's got some real good attributes to be a top quality player. Next up we have the Destroyer, always seemingly on the cusp of moving to China, but for me, another one that's playing my smile on his face is Cheick Tiote. Maybe he's looking forward to getting ruffled up and getting amongst the Championship, and potentially he will be given the captain's armband. He's definitely a contender for me, as we do not have a captain at the current moment. Certainly one that will be involved. Now again, if I could get good money for him, I might take it, as he is 29. He's on £40,000 per week, which is a lot for the Championship, and if we can move them on, we potentially will take that sort of money. But if he doesn't go, I'll gladly take him into the Championship because I think he'll do an excellent job. This one's a frustrating one. Haris Vukic, always been decent on Football Manager, once seen as a Football Manager wonder kid, but yet always seems to struggle with injuries and always seems to go out on loan. He did have a decent spell on loan at Rangers, and he did win a league title with Wigan last season. He does seem to be going out on loan again in real life. Rafa has told him he's not part of his current plans, but Haris says he will try and force his way into the team. If he has to go out on loan, he will do. He's a decent player, a Slovenian international. He's not bad on Football Manager. He does have some tricks up his sleeve when he plays. I probably look to loan him out. I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for him actually, and I don't really want to sell him. So I'll probably loan him out, sort of get another club to pay his wages, but he probably will stay involved with the club in some capacity. Freddie Woodman, a real talent compared to Joe Hart, which after the European Championships might not always be a good thing. Did just play for England, who got knocked out in the Under-19 Championships, and he's one that I think he could play the second fiddle. We may look to sell the likes of Rob Elliott, Carl Darlow, possibly Tim Krul, like I said, and use Freddie Woodman as the backup to Matt Sells, but he will definitely be staying at the club. Definitely another one going to be staying at the club. This guy, I've always compared him to a raw Raheem Sterling. Now I know Sterling has not lit the world up after his 50 million move, but at Liverpool he was quality. Now this guy reminds me of that. He did get stuck at left back at the end of the last season against Chelsea away, and I think he lost 5-1 and he got torn a new one, but it was a learning curve for the lad. For me, he's going to be absolutely quality in the Championship. He started every game under Rafa in pre-season, and for me, I think this is a massive season for Rolando Aarons, and I am super excited to watch him play. How Sammy Amiobi is valued 2.4 million, around £20,000 per week, I have not got a clue. Yes, he's got some decent attributes, but for me, this one's simple. Sell and never look back. This one is an interesting one because I don't know if he's going to be a starter in my team. He definitely could be. He is valued 8.5 million on £35,000 per week, which is quite high, and I reckon we could get quite a bit of money for him. So I'm not sure what to do with Vernon Anita. If he stays, I'm be happy with that. If he goes for a good sum of money, then I won't complain either. I'm a bit 50-50 on him, so we'll see what happens with Vernon Anita. Now, all my friends know my love for Adam Armstrong. Scored 20 goals on loan at Coventry last season. Hopefully he'll get his chance in the Championship this season, because my word, does this guy have potential to be an absolute top drawer player. When I've seen him play, I've always compared him to Michael Owen. Likes to play on the shoulder, got a bit of pace about him. He's that small, fast, nippy striker. For me, he is real raw talent and he could be a real good player. Definitely going to keep him and get him involved in the Championship campaign. First things first with this guy, he's tied down for 6 years and he's going absolutely nowhere. The only way this guy will ever leave me is if the board, Mike Ashley, Lee Charnley sell beneath me and let him go for whatever they accept. Otherwise, Jose Perez will at least stay for that 6-year campaign. I recently got him on last season's away kit. His name and number 17. Quality player. Again, the more he plays, the better he gets. And today, he actually scored a couple of fine goals. One really good goal against Lokeren, the Belgian side, in a 4-0 victory, where the team played quite well. Another one who could step into that captaincy role, Jack Callback. One Newcastle fan, of course, formerly of Sunderland, but a Newcastle fan all his days. Again though, he's somebody that's valued quite highly and on a decent wage, and I do feel if I got offered enough money I could be persuaded to part with Jack Callback, but he's one that I really would like to keep and use in the Championship. I'm not sure if he'd be good enough taking a promoted team from the Championship into the Premier League on Football Manager, but we'll see. We actually have to do that first anyway. We may keep him. He's quite versatile and he's got quite good attributes in all areas of the game, and he could well be given the captaincy at St James's Park. Carl Darlow, whilst I'm a good fan of him in real life, and I think he's a very handy goalkeeper, he's one that we probably don't actually need. We've got too many goalkeepers and we will look to move Carl Darlow on. This one's frustrating. CM de Jong, the number 10 now. I can't actually recall him completing a full 90 minutes for the club. I don't even think he's made 20 appearances for the club since he signed. Always injured. And it's frustrating because when he came from Ajax, I was really excited. I remember seeing him play for Ajax away to Manchester City in the Champions League, and he was absolutely incredible, and I was so excited that we signed him, but it's a huff and puff with this one. Now, whether he wants to stay in the Championship, I don't know, but to be honest, he should show a little bit of loyalty in real life and stay, because he hasn't done an awful lot for the club. But I think if a Dutch club such as Ajax or PSG come in for him, I could see him going back to his native homeland. I reckon he'd be good in the Championship, but I think at that value and that wage I'm going to look to cash in on CM de Jong. Another one who's a mixed bag, the Welshman Paul Dummett. Got some good attributes, good enough for the Championship, but moving forward I don't know if he'll be good enough. I may look to bring in another left back. I'm unsure on him. He is wanted by a couple of clubs. I think I may cash on him if I get the right offer. Just like Carl Darlow, Robbie Elliott, who was voted the player of the season for Newcastle last season, a really decent goalkeeper, underrated in my opinion. I think I will look to move him on for any price really, guys, because I'm not really going to use him with the quality of goalkeepers I have at the club. Not quite sure how you say this one. Is it Jesus Gamez or Jesus Gamez? I'm not quite sure. We'll go with Jesus, just like you pronounce Juan Jesus now of Roma. Jesus Gamez comes in from Atletico Madrid. Of course, they have Juan Fran at right back, and they've just signed Sim Versalgico, the Football Manager legend, for a hefty amount. He's 30 years old. I think he's the first player that Newcastle signed over the age of 29 in about 5 or 6 years, which of course, that was a policy by the club, really given from Charlie and Ashley. Now that Rafa's came in, Rafa basically said, it's my way or I don't sign that contract. He got his own way, and he signed the contract, which is the delight for us Newcastle United fans. He's brought in Gamez, a bit of experience. I guess they think, potentially, that Janmaat could be leaving, but other than that reason, I'm not quite sure why he was brought in. If Janmaat leaves, then it makes full sense. Look forward to using him in the Championship, though. Big money paid for Dwight Gale from Alan Partridge's Crystal Palace. He has been Crystal Palace's top goal scorer for the last 3 seasons running. Now, I think he will be excellent in the Championship under Rafa. For me, I'm not sure if he's cut out to play for even a top 10 side in the Premier League, but we're not there. We're in the Championship, and that is reality. So, I think Dwight Gale could be a good player on the game in the Championship for me, and of course in real life. He's set himself a 20 goal target for the upcoming season, which kicks off on the 5th of August against Fulham at Craven Cottage. Just like Emmanuel Riviere, the less said about Johan Gouffran the better. We will take anything we can to get his wage off of the wage budget, and any kind of value we get out of him will be welcome into the club. Not a very good player. I remember him in his opening 4 or 5 games. He looked really sharp for the club, but again, when you pay like 1.9 million for a player from Bordeaux, what do you fully expect? Not a lot, and not a lot we got from him since he joined the club. This is an interesting one. Masario Haidara, he's one I definitely think has a lot of potential. Whenever he plays, he always looks pretty sharp. Now, I've got a feeling if Daryl Janmaat stays at the club in the Championship, I'm not sure, I'm a bit 50-50 on that one. I think Jesus Gamez will play left back. That's just my prediction. Of course, if Janmaat goes, Gamez will go to right back, and Haidara or Dummett will play left back. But I have a feeling that Janmaat could potentially stay. Who knows? Again, if we get the right offer, he will probably leave. He did score today in that game against Lokeren. The new 5.5 million man, the fellow Scotsman Grant Hanley. Now, he looks excellent on Football Manager actually for a Championship club. His natural fitness is a bit worrying, but other than that, he looks pretty damn good. Now, Rafa Benitez was adamant he was going to get him. I'm not sure if he's going to be a starter now, because if he does give Lascelles the captain's armband, which has been hinted about recently, Mbemba, I can assure you, is going to be the main man and will start, which means Hanley is there to provide competition. I think we're personally going to go with Mbemba and Lascelles, and Hanley will be the competition. But we did need another central defender to create that competition, to push players and make them better. Isaac Hayden's an interesting one, the defensive midfielder. Now, this signing to me actually, it smelled of a sale of Cheick Tiote to China again. Now, it doesn't look like there's anything in it at the moment. He was signed for around 3-4 million, I think, Isaac Hayden. One that he's got some decent attributes on Football Manager, but I don't see him pushing out Cheick Tiote in my team. We will give him a go, we will rotate, and we will use him, and we'll see how we get on. He will stay at the club till at least January, till we get a feel for him and see how good he is. As for mentioned, guys, Daryl Janmaat, I reckon there will be a few clubs coming and bid for him, and again, like another few players, if we do get the right money for him, we will take him, because I believe Gamez is good enough in the Championship to play right back for a season. I would like to keep him. If I can keep him, I will, but it's usually big clubs that come sniffing around, so I'm not sure how we're going to manage to keep teams' hands off him. I'll be disappointed to see him go. He did bottle it in a few games last season, but overall he's a pretty decent player, and hopefully he stays in real life. But I see him being sold for my team to raise some funds, and because I don't want to cause a player revolt by making a player stay who probably doesn't want to stay in the Championship. So there we are, guys. We've ran through all the squad so far. The squad is absolutely massive, but don't you worry. By the time you come back to me in the next episode where we recap the friendlies, we will have done a few transfers, sold or loaned a lot of players out, definitely, and we will discuss those, as well as discussing the 6 or so pre-season games and bringing you the live comp against Derby. Okay, so financial side of things, we have £66 million in the balance. Of course, when editing, we don't really work out the parachute payments and that sort of thing. In the transfer budget is 15 million. Newcastle definitely and Rafa Benitez have some money to play with still, I believe. And the wage budget is 975,000 per week. That, I can assure you, will probably be down by around 150,000, 200k by the time we come back to you with the next episode. So there we have it, guys, the opening introductory episode of the Newcastle United career on Football Manager 2016. Now this will be my last YouTube series, and it hopefully will take me to around about FM17 or within a few weeks beforehand. Okay, so Tyneside Troubles, the introductory episode. It's been around 35 minutes long. It has been a long one, but that's to get you to know sort of my goals, my ambitions, and meet the squads and see who I'll look to keep or move on. Each other episode is going to be around about 15 minutes long, so it keeps people intrigued and interested in the episode. I understand the first episode is long, and I feel that on YouTube, if episodes are too long, you lose the audience very quickly. I'm not here for the views, really. I'm here for people to enjoy what I'm doing. I'd rather have less views and more people who enjoyed it than more views and people who dislike it. I understand it's a long episode. Hopefully you've stuck with it. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. And I will keep the episodes to a minimum after this. Now, guys, as ever, if you want to follow us on social media, the Football Manager Whizzkids, we approach 16,000 likes on there. Follow us on Facebook, or drop us a like, should I say. If you need to email us or have any inquiries, the Football Manager Whizzkids at hotmail.com, at the FM Whizzkids on the Tifo project, at the FM Whizzkids on Twitter, where last week we passed 3,000 followers. And of course, if you're here and you like what you see, give the video a thumbs up or give it a thumbs down if you don't like it, and let me know, give me some constructive feedback on what I can do to improve my videos. And that's it, guys. Hopefully you dropped a subscribe. We're at 1,300 subscribers, which is pretty decent considering I haven't been regularly uploading for around 3 months. But from now until Football Manager 2017, a lot of content is coming your way, and I've got big plans for FM17, and I cannot wait to get stuck in, and share them with you. And as ever, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. I've been James. We are the Football Manager Whizzkids, and this is Tyneside Troubles with Newcastle United. Thanks for watching, goodbye, and take care.